Welcome in TNC Radio.live. This is Taillights with the Baums. And now, here's Larry and Angie Baum.
Hello, hello, hello. Looking forward to this Sunday?
I know I am.
Oh, I am.
Absolutely, I am. And I've been studying a bunch of stuff, and Larry, not that you and I are, degenerate gamblers or something like that, but we've been known to place a bet here or there, yeah?
Yeah, here or there, little ones.
And Angie, I know you are a football aficionado.
Trying.
And you have a guest with us tonight. Why don't you introduce Brian?
Yes, this is our friend Brian, a.k.a. Budman, and he is a truck driver for 32 years, so he's got a wealth of experience.
And he has helped us out in many jams.
Yes.
How you doing there, Brian?
A couple anyways. He puts you in the right directions.
That's right.
Well, then I'm going to go through, and I've got a few questions for all three of you. All three of you need to answer. These are very important questions, and we're talking about Super Bowl bets here. Are we ready?
Yes.
Ready.
We'll start with Angie. Angie, I'm sure you've studied all the statistics. You've looked back on the history of both teams. You've seen how they play, the offense versus defense. So my first question to you, dear, is who will win the coin toss? Kansas City or Philadelphia?
Okay, I'm totally guessing on this. I'm hoping it's Kansas City. That's my hope.
All right. Larry?
Heads.
Larry?
Heads is going to win.
Yeah, but who?
And it will be Philadelphia picking heads.
All right. Brian?
I'm going to say the Philadelphia Eagles winning the coin toss.
All right.
And deferring the ball to Kansas City.
There you go.
And I'm going to bet, I'm going to put a bet down on $100 that the team Kelsey is on wins.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
I'll give you 10-1 odds on that. All right.
Okay,
let's see.
Question. Sorry.
Next question. A country singer named Chris Stapleton is going to be doing the national anthem. In the last 15 years, 7 times the national anthem has gone over 2 minutes. 8 times it's gone under 2 minutes. Given that he is a country singer and that he will be using an acoustic guitar, most likely, the over-under is 2 minutes and 5 seconds. Will he go over or be under?
I am going under.
I'm definitely going over because he likes to draw his chords.
I'm going to say with it doing an acoustic guitar, possibly, I'm going to say he's going to be well over the 2 minute mark.
2 minutes and 5 seconds. Yep. Okay. Scoring drive. Angie, we'll go back to you again, dear. Do you first? Will there be a scoring drive shorter than the national anthem?
Oh.
Ooh, I don't even know how to answer that.
Did you, during the whole game, will there be a scoring drive under that?
Yes.
Or the first one?
Any.
Man. That's a tough one. I think there will. Well, does pick 6 count as a scoring drive?
No, it does not.
Then I am going to say no.
Okay.
I'm going to follow Larry's lead because I'm not sure, so I'm going to say no, too.
I'm going to have to agree with them because there's always that last 2 minutes of the game and somebody's got the ball and they're going to hold it for that last 2 minutes to score.
Just to put it in perspective, last year in the shortest scoring drive was by Mahomes. It was 17 seconds.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Just saying.
Yeah. And I hope he's feeling better by
That's
the
a
game,
one-pass TV.
All right. Big question. This one's very important. Really goes back to the history of football. Brian, I'll give this one to you first. Think of all the Super Bowls you've ever watched. After the first play, after the first play of the game, will either be a Doritos commercial or an M&M's commercial first?
I'm going to have to say neither. I'm going to go with a Budweiser
which one
commercial.
out of those two? Which one will come before the other, Doritos or M&M?
I'll say M&M.
M&M.
I'm definitely going to say Dorito.
I'm going Doritos.
All right.
And actually, I'm looking forward to those commercials.
I think a lot of people do that. I think a lot of people watch it simply for the commercials.
Larry, will anybody score an octopus?
What? Oh, wait, I missed that. Sorry.
Will
what?
anybody score an octopus?
Will anybody score an octopus?
Yes.
Okay, you got me stumped on that one because I'm not sure what an octopus is.
How many points is an octopus, do you think?
Oh, 8. Okay. Will there be an 8-point touchdown, 2-point conversion?
By the same player.
Yes,
by the same player.
There will be.
Okay.
Oh,
Larry says
Wait.
somebody.
By the same player?
Yes.
Well, does that consider Mahomes throwing a touchdown pass and Mahomes throwing a 2-point conversion?
Yes, but if he threw them both to Kelsey.
Whoa, that is a tough one. That's got to be some high odds on that one. But I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say Holmes to Kelsey on a touchdown, over to Kelsey on a 2-point conversion.
But I mean, it's quite possible, and it's quite possible to see Hurts run it in from 2 yards out, and then run it in again from 2 yards out.
That's true.
So I don't think that's. I don't think the odds on that are all as bad as what people might think. So all right,
I don't even think there may be a 2-point conversion in the game.
It might not. Then again, well, I mean, they don't have Dallas's kicker, so probably not. But
yeah, I cannot believe you missed those field goals. 4 in a row?
6 out of 7 total. So
In the last three Super Bowls, there has not been an 8-point conversion.
There you go, Brian. So are you saying no to the octopus?
That's correct.
And Angie, how about you?
I'm going to say no, too.
All right.
Yeah, I'm going no.
You already said yes. I'm sorry, I've locked you.
I said yes?
You said yes. Yes, you did.
Okay.
Larry, stick with that first instinct, bud. It's worked for you all season.
It really has.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay, now if you look at and this is very important. Angie uses this math a lot on her determination as to who will accomplish what in which Super Bowl, that kind of stuff. If you look at the jersey numbers, Kelsey, Goddard, Mahomes, etc., all have jersey numbers at or higher than 12, where Hurts, Brown, Pacheco, Smith all have jersey numbers less than 12. The over-under is 11.5 jersey number to score the first touchdown. Higher or lower than 11.5?
Higher.
I got Brian. Brian went high.
I'm going under.
Larry's going under.
Because I think it's going to be Hurts, but he's number 1.
Yeah, something like that.
Yep.
Angie, over or under?
I'll go under, too.
Under. All right. Now, think about how you answer this one, because it could be a little bit tricky. What color would the Gatorade be that's poured on the winning coach?
Yellow.
I know that one.
Are you saying lemon lime, Larry?
Yeah, I'm going yellow.
Yeah, I'm going to go yellow, too. I was going to say yellow or orange, but I think I'm going to go yellow.
and I'm going to go with Cool Blue. Blue,
really? Okay. And Angie's also going lemon lime. Just as a bit of history, and I will let you change your answer. The last time KC won, the Gatorade was orange, of course.
Oh, that was my first. Red. That was my first thing. Yeah.
I would say red. I think Philadelphia's going to win, but I don't think they're going to be drinking green Kool-Aid.
Well, lemon lime will count as green because they don't actually have a green color.
Yes.
Yeah. But if I was thinking Kansas City was winning, I would say red, but I'm pretty sure Philadelphia's going to win.
That red-orange color is what they used last time. So.
Citrus Cooler. No, Citrus Cooler is orange.
Yeah.
Because I drink a lot of it myself in the summertime.
Oh, yeah. That's usually when Larry drinks it, too. Keeps him hydrated.
All right, last question. The game is over. The game is over, and it's time for the Super Bowl MVP to stand up and give his speech. Will he think first, I just got to thank my teammates and everything that happened. I couldn't be here without him. Or, I just got to thank the Lord. I just got to thank the Lord. Or, I just got to thank the city of Kansas City. You have supported us. Or, I just got to thank my mom and daddy. If it wasn't for my mom and daddy, I wouldn't have been here. Or the coach or the owner. Who will the MVP thank first?
I think he's going to go, I'm going to Disneyland.
I think it's going to be God.
Okay.
Because I think I know the MVP will be.
I go God, too.
I'm going to say he's going to thank his teammates.
All right.
He'll thank everybody, but I'm pretty sure he's going to go God than everybody else.
Yep. Yeah, it's funny the way they structure it, because sometimes it's like, I just got to thank my teammates, I got to thank my parents, I got to thank my owner, but most of all, I got to thank God. But he's, in that case, he said teammates first, so that's what we'd go with.
Yes.
So, all right. So that is, we're going to take a look at all these next week. We got Dr. Chris, we got Bill, we're going to pick up Ivan and Josh here in a little while. We're going to get all these answers, put them all out there, and see how we did on
you
very
did miss
important...
one question.
No, we didn't.
Who's going to win?
Who cares? These are the important questions.
That's true. Those are the fun betting ones.
Yeah. All right, guys. Let's rock and roll. Tell you what, let's take a break, then we'll come back and rock and roll. How's that sound?
That sounds good.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes. You're listening to TNCRadio.live. Stay right there.
This blog is brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net. Team driving with your spouse. Is it for you? Trucking's an exciting career with many opportunities. Although there are many benefits to being a truck driver, such as freedom on the open road and seeing new places, there's still negative sides like loneliness and boredom. Truck driving is also difficult for your marriage. Being away from your spouse for days or weeks at a time makes it challenging to have a happy and healthy marriage. Thankfully, truck drivers have the option to team drive with their spouse. Forming a husband and wife trucking team can be a great opportunity to spend time together and travel the United States while making good money. Now, like any other job, driving with your spouse has pros and cons. Stay with me to find out if team driving with your spouse is right for you. Now, the pros of team driving with your spouse. Faster delivery. Due to the FMCSA's hours of service regulations, truck drivers can only drive up to 11 hours a day. Any driving after 11 hours will result in a penalty and a bad safety score. Truckers on average will drive up to 55-60 miles an hour. After their 11-hour shift, that adds up to a little over 600 miles a day. When you drive with your spouse, you can drive more miles. While you're finishing your 11-hour shift, your spouse can be resting and getting ready for their shift. This allows drivers to complete more miles a day, which in return leads to a faster delivery. You won't feel lonely. Driving alone can lead to developing mental health issues later on in your trucking career. Studies show that depression and anxiety are some of the most common mental health issues in drivers today. Team driving with your spouse eliminates feeling lonely on the road. Having your spouse with you on the road gives you someone to talk to and enjoy your daily activities with. Make more money. A single truck driver makes less money per mile than one whose team drives. Why is that? Well, with two drivers, you're completing more miles each day, and therefore you reach your destination much quicker. Cons of team driving with your spouse. Difficulty getting along. They say that distance makes the heart grow fonder, and that's true. It can be difficult to get along with your spouse when you're in a small space for weeks at a time. You may find yourself wanting alone time to pursue your hobbies and interests. When you decide to team drive, you give up the possibility of any alone time in your truck. Lack of sleep. To make team driving work, your spouse will have to rest while you complete your shift of driving. Sleeping in a truck cab, especially if your spouse is noisy, can be difficult. As a truck driver, it's essential to have a good night's rest before hitting the road. Getting the right amount of sleep is not only good for your overall health, but it also makes you more alert and cautious when driving. Harder to find trucking insurance. If you decide that team driving is for you and your spouse, you might have trouble finding a commercial truck insurance company that'll write your insurance. When you team drive, your truck never stops. Therefore, the truck is at risk for higher exposure to accidents. Your truck's also more liable to having maintenance issues, which can result in getting violations. Conclusion? Driving with your spouse has many pros and cons. Our advice to you is to take a look at the pros and cons and determine if this is the right career path for you and your spouse. Trucking with your spouse can lead to many great memories. This blog was brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net.
Ready for a music break? Did you know that you can use the TNCRadio.live app to hear the best in traditional country? Traditional country. You know, the good stuff from the 50s and 60s and on. Traditional country is more than a time period. It's a style and approach to music that we cherish. We have an incredible collection of songs that define country music and also sprinkle in some Western music, you know, cowboy music, bluegrass, Americana, and country gospel. Our TRUSA president and country Western music icon, Rex Allen Jr., also hosts an hour of music and memories. At TRUSA, we have a heart for the road and the heritage of country music. Wherever you roam, we hope you'll take us with you. Enjoy the ride on Truckers Radio USA. To listen to TRUSA Radio on the TNCRadio.live app, just click on the music button and then TRUSA.
You're listening to TNCRadio.live. Remember to tune in to the Truckers Network radio show with Shelley Johnson weekdays at 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern.
Welcome back in, TNCRadio.live. This is Taillights with the Baums. Here's Angie.
Well, welcome back, everybody. So you guys heard a little bit from our guest. We have our friend Brian with us tonight, and he has been a truck driver for over 32 years, and he's got some great stories to share. So, Brian, I was going to have you just kind of introduce yourself to everybody, tell everybody a little bit about you and how you got into the trucking business.
Hello. Yeah. My career started in officially 1988, and I started out basically driving local. And then in 1990, it took a big turn for me, and I actually drove for Anheuser-Busch for a while. And then because I was one of the lowest drivers on the totem pole, I sort of got let go. And then there were some other problems in between, but I got into hauling boats, and I hauled multi-million-dollar yachts and boats for 18 and a half years. 2017 was my last year hauling boats. I've had an up and down career, but I've had a good career. I've had a good life. I'm married for 23 years. My wife has pretty much stuck by me throughout the whole time. She's been on a couple trips with me, short trips, but been on a couple trips. The last time she was with me, I had her out here for a whole month. When she got in the truck, I said, sit down, shut up, and enjoy the scenery. and she enjoyed it. That was,
what's that 23-year mark?
The 23-year mark was February 3rd, 2001, 2002.
That's awesome. So you're going home this weekend because you're going to celebrate your 23rd anniversary. Got anything special planned for her?
I got a few tricks up my sleeve. I mean, I know that I plan on taking her out to dinner and doing a little celebration there somewhere. She's a big seafood fanatic. She always has been. From time to time, I try to, let her have what she wants because she's a big thing on snow crab, but she's got to have the Alaskan, which is a little more expensive, but in turn, it's worthwhile. I mean, for her.
It's worth every penny.
It's good. I can remember back in 2016, I was way up in Maine. I was picking up a boat for a private owner and taking it down to Florida. And the owner and I were in contact before I got up to him because he was trying to get me up there and get me into the marina where he was at. And we were getting ready to end the conversation on the phone. And I had said, by any chance, do you think or know anybody that could possibly get me some good Maine lobster? And he said, I'll hook you up. He says, I got all kinds of people up here that I know. And I was not really expecting what this man got me, but I kid you not, he brings me a styrofoam cooler filled with 4 huge Maine lobsters, still alive, and still tucked on ice and seaweed.
Okay, I just want you to know. I want you to visualize that Larry's over here drooling right now.
Then on the bottom of that cooler was 2 real nice big slabs of flounder. Because I, as living in Florida, all the years that I lived in Florida, never had a flounder, never got to taste it. And I had a craving for it. And a lot of your better flounder is up towards Maine because of the colder waters. And he didn't even want me to give him any money. I offered him money. Oh, no, don't worry about it. I took care of it.
That's
very
awesome.
Nice.
That is pretty awesome. Last time we were in Florida and I ordered seafood, we had dolphin.
Yes. I mean, that was good. I thought it was an actual dolphin until the waitress informed me.
Mahi-mahi.
I was like, I don't want it was dolphin fish.
Mahi-mahi.
We were horrified. We saw dolphin on the menu and we're like, what?
So the waitress started laughing. She's like, it's a dolphin fish. I promise you. It's not actually flipper. I'm like, okay, well, then I'll try it.
But yeah, we went to Maine just so I could knock that off my bucket list. I had a whole Maine lobster in Maine.
Yep. And
I couldn't stop at one. I had to have 2.
Well, Brian, I'm sorry, go ahead, Brian.
The actual 2 best things coming out of Maine, not only your lobster coming out of the water, but I'll tell you what, there is a restaurant. It is a truck stop. It's way up there, but it's well worth going up there if you know where it's at. In fact, somebody did a video on it here not long ago, and it's a family-owned truck stop. It's a red brick building. The dead center of their parking lot is their clam chowder soup.
Oh, I do love clam chowder.
I'll tell you what, there used to be a place in Stonington, Connecticut, right at the Rhode Island, Connecticut line, was it back in the older days, and a lot of drivers will remember this, was the Stonington Travel Center. It was a small mom-and-pop truck stop, probably parked 25, 50 trucks max, but there was a little restaurant off to the side in their same parking lot. Every Friday night, clam chowder soup.
Oh, okay.
If I was ever up on that point, I made certain that I stopped in there for clam chowder soup on a Friday night.
Okay, so you are a wealth of knowledge.
Oh my God, yes.
Please answer me this question: why is clam chowder only served on Fridays?
Yeah, good question.
Well, considering that I know a little more about seafood than how restaurants do it, it's actually because of the ships and when they bring them into the port. So it's hard to get sometimes during the week, where they get it closer near the end of the week. And
that makes sense. I was also told that it's not just because of the ships, but it's some kind of like maybe religion type of reaction in the restaurant business.
Gotcha.
Where you got to have some type of thick, creamy soup. I don't know.
There's no meat on Fridays.
Well, clam chowder's got meat in it.
Well,
it was always clam chowder soup and fish on Friday. And there is still a lot of places out there that are mom and pop restaurant travel centers and little truck stops that still do that on a Friday night.
Okay. Tom actually just shared this with me, so I thought this is really good. It says the idea of having seafood on a Friday goes back to when Catholic Christians were forbidden to have any meat on Friday any time of the year. Today, the abstinence from meat on Fridays only applies during Lent, but some use Fridays as an occasion to enjoy fish as an alternative to land-based meals once a week. As far as New England clam chowder specifically, it sounds like a dinner, luncheonette, or restaurant maintains certain soups on certain days, and then they offer this on Fridays, and it makes it possible for the Catholic Christians to be able to dine there. So, Thank you, Tom. That was great.
So it's all about religion.
He's got that. He's got that down to a T and a patent, because technically there is a lot of these small mom and pop places that still do that. You got not only just the drivers that are coming in there that have been out on the road, you got a lot of local traffic that tag to that little place because they are serving that on a Friday night.
Well, that's one of the things I was going to say. We actually met Brian through TikTok. He was following our lives. And I have to say, there's been more than a few occasions that Brian, with his wealth of truck stops, has helped Larry and I out in a pinch. We'll be like, we're really hungry and we're going down such and such highway. And he'll be like, oh, there's a great mom and pop place right here. And there's been 3 or 4 places that he sent us to that have just been amazing.
Amazing.
So he's like a wealth of truck stop knowledge.
Well, you guys just recently went up to North Dakota, and if Larry took the route I told him to take, out there on that same route at Interstate 90 is a fuel stop called Maralt's. Did you stop in there?
We did not.
We did not. But there was a restaurant right off the 83 and the 94, I do believe. And it was called Space Aliens Grill and Bar.
Yeah,
that's the place I want to get.
We didn't.
That's what I meant. 94, not 90.
Yeah, we're gonna take just a quick break here, Brian. But I do want to. When we come back, we're gonna talk about a story that you shared with me earlier, which I thought was so interesting, about what kind of got you interested in trucking in the first place. And it was actually a neighbor that lived by your grandma. And so we're going to kind of share that story when we come back after the break. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. You are listening to Taillights with the Baums.
I'm sorry, Angie. I just have to jump in here real quick because I received a phone call that I think is important. Brian, let's go back to this for just a moment. You've been married how many years?
23.
And what year did you get married?
Was in 2001.
Try again.
2001, 2002, 2001, 2002.
Other way. Married 23. If you got married if you're celebrating 23 years, that would mean you got married what year? This is 2023. Let me help you here.
2000.
2000, yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Sorry, Susan.
Yeah, it's just and you celebrate on what day?
February 3rd.
But what day did you celebrate this year?
Well, it's a little late because, here's a story on that one. Back in October when I was home, I found out that Journey and Toto is coming to Knoxville, so I bought tickets, and I'm on I'm on the floor, six rows from the stage, and that concert's February 17th, so I decided to stay out an extra week.
Uh-oh.
So you can take her to it.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I bought 2 tickets, and both of our tickets are VIP pass tickets. We are 6 rows from the stage, down on the floor.
I'm very jealous.
And when did the flowers show up?
I was just gonna say that.
February 2nd.
Okay, so except for the part that you don't know which day, and except for the part that you don't know which year, you're very happily married after 23 years.
Yes.
All right, just checking. We'll be back with Journey and Toto in just a few minutes. TNC Radio.
Be sure to listen to Building Strong Minds with Dr. Chris, Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, right here on tncradio.live.
Hi, I'm Dr. Christopher Cortman, and now for the Mental Health Minute. You know, everybody's always talking about stress, but very few people even know what it is. But before we get into that, permit me to tell you a story. Years ago, a good friend of mine, we'll call him Mike because that's his name, received a gift certificate for free skydiving from his then fiance. Now, to me, nothing says I'll love you across the ages like here's a gift certificate to jump out of a perfectly good airplane at 12,000 feet. But Mike asked me if I wanted to go with him. And the way guys are, I said, oh yeah, sure, skydiving, I'd love that, great. Went inside, I had lots of anxiety about jumping out of a plane. But we were told that we would have what's called tandem skydiving, which means there's an instructor strapped to your back. And so therefore it's safer because the instructor pulls the cord for the parachute. Now I've had instructors on my back my entire life, so I thought this would be a great opportunity. So up we go, 12,000 feet in the air. And it's March in Florida, so it would never occur to me that it would be absolutely freezing at that altitude. So my instructor straps onto me and says, we are the spotters. I don't know what that means. I found out that the spotter means we lean out of the airplane and find the spot where we're going to land. Well, that's nice, except that I was used as his windshield. And at 160 miles an hour at 12,000 feet, my face was freezing. And he kept doing it. We kept leaning out of the plane. And finally I said to him, just push me out of the plane. I don't care if we have a parachute or not. I can't take this anymore. I learned something about stress that particular day, not because of my experience, but because I was talking to some of the other people in the airplane and asked them, what are you doing up there? I'm a psychologist. I can't help but interview people. And most of the people in the plane said, we do this every weekend to escape from stress. This is how we manage our stress. Let me explain to you a lot more about what stress is and what it isn't in the next Mental Health Minute.
TNCRadio.live, your commercial driver navigation station.
As a professional driver, the engineers at Front Lane know that you remain focused on the road regardless of weather and traffic conditions. That's not always true of the drivers behind you. Every 9 minutes, another commercial vehicle is rear-ended by a driver failing to control their speed. And guess who gets the blame? When you have to brake quickly, Tailbone illuminates a series of bright LED lights that allow the driver behind you to react up to 50% faster. Using amazing accelerometer technology and a battery that will last for years, Tailbone meets the standards set by the NHTSA and the FMCSA. Learn more by visiting www.frontlane.com/tailbone. That's www.frontlane.com/tailbone. Approved in all 50 states. It's Tailbone by Frontlane.
Welcome back to ENCRadio.live. This is Taillights with the Baums. And now with your latest clam chowder recipe, here's Angie.
Give us a good recipe, baby.
Oh my goodness.
Fish and milk.
Fish and milk. Oh my gosh. So we've been talking with Brian here, who forgot his poor anniversary to his wife. That was so funny. So anyway, Brian,
and she is listening.
And she's listening. Hi, Susan. So one of the stories you shared to me was what kind of gave you the idea at a younger age to possibly go into trucking. And it was actually a neighbor that was over by your grandma's house. Can you tell us a little bit about that story?
Yeah, I was a kid, and when I realized that that man was a truck driver, we'd gone down there numerous times to Huntington, West Virginia. That's the area my parents grew up in. And right there as a kid, you'd never seen a brick laid street, but my grandmother's street was a brick laid street. No pavement, no concrete, all bricks, red bricks. And it was amazing to me as a kid growing up, but one of her neighbors was always good to her. They always helped her out. And her husband was a truck driver. And we just happened to be there. I was still young. And all of a sudden I see this big truck coming down my grandmother's street. Now, mind you, the size of this truck was a cab over. It was a Kenworth. I would say early 80s, maybe late 70s. And the street was narrow. And this man, every time he come home, he parked his truck right up on the curb, right in the street. And when I got to know him a little better, my dad and I were outside one day, and I don't know what we were doing, but he come over. He had just come in and come over, and we got to talking, and was standing right there in front of my dad. And I was like, I'm going to become a truck driver. He stared me in the face and looked at me and looked at my dad, and he says, don't ever get in this business driving a truck. You won't like it. And from that day forward, I really didn't think nothing of it. But what amazed me as a kid, he asked if I could go on a trip with him. It was a short run. It was up into Ohio and then back down. And I was so excited because I got to ride in a big truck. And I was 9, 10 years old, you're as a kid, you climb up in this big truck and sit up in this big seat, and you're sitting way high, and you got a bed behind you directly. It's amazing because a lot of kids never got to see trucks like that back in the day. And I was fortunate enough to ride in one when I was younger. And I think that's what encouraged me a little more. But, he basically told me, he says, this is a business you don't want to be in. You're never home. You're always away from your family. And it never really dawned on me. And then as I got older and older, when I became old enough to start driving, I got into driving. And several years later, I was going up towards Ohio. I was delivering a load of boats, and the company I was working for, when I first started hauling boats, was down in Orlando, Justice Boat Transport. And I took my little single axle Western Star long hood nose truck, and with a little small box sleeper on it, thinking I'm bigger than he is. And he was home, and I drove my truck right down that street, parked it right in front of the house. And he come out, and he heard the horn. And, of course, my grandmother came out on the porch, and she was shocked to see me. And I said, did you tell me that I shouldn't be in this business? Well, guess what? I am.
I didn't listen.
Yep, I didn't listen is right. And he's like, well, that's just a little single axle truck. What are you hauling? I said, boats. And he actually said, that's a good business to be in.
Oh, that's good.
Yep. I was shocked there.
Okay, that reminds me when you were talking about your story, and I don't know how many people know this, but the first time I ever rode in a semi-truck was actually when I was 9 or 10 years old as well. My grandfather owned a couple businesses. It was called Wilkins Pipe and Supply, and every one of his sons and my father, who was his son-in-law, worked for him at different locations. And every summer I'd go stay with him. Well, this one particular summer, he couldn't take me home because he had some business stuff to do. So he called one of his truck drivers and he said, I need you to take her from Peoria, Illinois, to Springfield, Illinois. She's my granddaughter, so she's precious cargo. I was never so excited in my whole life. I was like, oh, I'm going to ride in a semi-truck. And it was only like a 3-hour trip. But I will never forget, my grandpa gave him money. He told him, stop at McDonald's and make sure she gets a Happy Meal. That man was so embarrassed. He had to go into the president's granddaughter to go get her a Happy Meal. But I'll tell you what, that was like the best day of my life. That's when I knew I loved semi-trucks.
Yeah,
I didn't feel bad for that guy.
It was pretty amazing for me. I mean, I was in his truck for a few hours. I mean, we got to go up into Ohio, just basically across the river there from West Virginia, pick up a load of steel, and then he took that trailer somewhere else, and then we dropped it, and then then we came home. But it was amazing, basically to be sitting up that high and you're looking down at everybody else. And back then in the day, a lot of people knew what us truck drivers stood for. Today, there's a lot that don't care. They don't like us, but it is what it is. They don't realize that we're delivering America's goods. We're delivering not only gasoline, lumber, food to all these grocery stores, food to all these grocery warehouses. I mean, everything from medical supplies to pharmacy supplies, all kinds of stuff. And they don't understand
their
it.
Cell phone.
Yep. But
yeah, it's true. It's true. We were just talking about that the other day, that, we tend to be public enemy number one to the public. But, on the back end of it, they need us. They rely on us. And if we stop running, the world would feel it.
and see, my first turn with always looking at big trucks, when my parents traveled and we went on vacation, we packed up the car, hooked up the camper when we finally got one. And my dad got into putting a CB in the car so he could follow truck drivers, let alone talk to them. Hell, my dad didn't talk to him. It was my mother talking to him. And, of course, now, my mother, when she got on the CB, every damn truck driver out here in the country wanted to speak to my mom because of her handle. My dad's handle was the West Virginia Ridge Runner. My mother's CB handle?
I'm scared to ask. What was it?
Machine Gun Kelly.
It was her mom? Okay,
my mother got that nickname in high school because she played a violin. So they called her Machine Gun Kelly in high school. So awesome. That was her CB handle that she went by. And every time she got a hold of that mic and got on the CB, everybody was listening, and then everybody wanted to talk to her.
Well, heck yeah. They're probably trying to visualize, how did you get that CB handle? And they're probably visualizing like, what does she look like?
Oh,
okay,
now,
that's great.
I remember one year where we actually had a couple truck drivers. We were on our way to Huntington, West Virginia. Now, from Chicago to Huntington was a 9-hour drive in a car. And my dad drove a lot of times at night. We had my sister and I'd be in the back seat either sleeping or listening to them or just watching trucks or whatever, watching to see who's talking, going by us. And several truck drivers got on the radio with my mother, and somehow or another, they conjured my mom and dad to go ahead and stop at an old 76 truck stop for a cup of coffee and a bite to eat. And all of us went in. Cool. And all of us went in. I remember that. I will never forget that.
Okay, that is a cool story. That is so cool.
I only wish I could remember what truck stop it was, but I'm thinking, now Larry, you might know where it's at, but I'm thinking it's the old TA or the old 76 truck stop just before you come in to Indianapolis on Interstate 65.
Wow. Okay, that is so cool. I couldn't even imagine.
And I can't picture it. I'm sorry.
No, is your brain not working today?
No, I'm trying to think. No, I cannot picture it.
It is just a little north of the bypass of Indianapolis on Interstate 65, and it's on the right.
That's awesome.
It's only about 10 miles, if that, from Indianapolis itself.
Well, you had also mentioned when you were talking about hauling boats that at one point you actually hauled a yacht that was worth, what, $22.5 million?
Yes, ma'am. $22.5 million, and I have pictures to prove it, too. A very beautiful boat, a very well-known boat called Donzi. Actually, they no longer make that big yacht no more in Sarasota. They downsized, but they still have their plant in Miami. Of course, in 2011, when this country took a big hit with a lot of things and the problems we had, it took the boat industry and even some of the car industry took a major hit. But that boat, $22.5 million, and it wasn't even finished yet. It still had another 4 to 6 months at the main factory. We would go in at that factory in Sarasota. If we didn't move a 55 footer, we would move the 75. If we didn't move the 75, we would move the 80 footer. The 55 footer, I believe it was, we took it and loaded it up and took it straight down to Miami. The 75 and the 80 footer that we loaded had to be put on the trailer and taken 60 miles north back up to Tampa, to the Tampa port. We only had a 4-hour limit. We left the manufacturer at midnight, and you only had 4 hours to get up there. And it took damn near all 4 hours. In fact, my first time pulling it, it took me 5 hours to get up there, but we got it up there because for the simple fact that as soon as I came off the concrete and down on the grass, I bottomed out. That's how low to the ground. That's how low I was to the ground. A half an inch. You said
it was, what, 80 foot long, and you only had to go like 60 miles, but because it was so big and cumbersome, it was hard getting to where you were going.
Well, it takes about a month. It took my boss about a month to get that permit because the route actually has to be surveyed twice. Then it has to be approved by the state. And then they give the approval to somebody else who comes out and surveys the route for the state. And that's a state employee. Then they go back, check into it more. It's Angie, stuff like that is a long list because that boat was 24 foot wide and it was huge for 24 foot wide. It weighed 136,000 pounds. It took 2 cranes to pick it up and set it on my trailer.
Wow. Yeah, I don't think people realize when you do flatbed like that, a lot of times it does take a lot of permits and a lot of, you got to check for power lines, you got to look for bridge clearances. So there's a lot that entails when somebody is hauling, especially an oversized load. And that's why so oftentimes.
Yeah, that is called specialized carrying. Anything that's, over a certain dimension, over a certain height, over a certain weight. That they specialize in that. And when I worked for Justice, we specialized in moving the bigger boats. I mean, we had the equipment to do it. We built our own equipment. The state of Florida.
Hey, Brian, we're going to take just a quick break real quick.
No, actually, we're almost out of time. We skipped the last break.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. We're almost out of time. Okay. So, Brian, I just want to thank you so much for being on the show. And I know we're going to have you back on here again because there was quite a few stories that we didn't get a chance to get to.
I want to hear about Stars and Stripes next time you're on here.
Yes. Yes. So we'll
definitely
have to get you rescheduled.
But next time.
I will have my wife take a picture of my sweatshirt that's hanging up in my closet to send it to you.
Awesome.
Where can everybody find you at?
Well, I'm out here on the road. I work for a real respectable company out of Missouri.
Your TikTok name.
We have just a couple minutes or a couple seconds, actually.
My actual TikTok name is Brian Petrie 650 or Budman 650.
Yeah, Budman
650.
We're going to be, Anderson and Cooper Banker are going to be up here in just a few minutes with Clutch Time Sports, and we'll be back next Wednesday with Taillights with the Baums. Thank you again so much for being with us, Brian, and we will definitely have you back on the air again. Be safe, everybody. We'll see you guys next Wednesday.